Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Hi, I am Chef Jay Tay. Happy to see you back. Hello, hello. Welcome, Will. Welcome, JK. Hello, Wolf. Hello, Soph. Hi, everyone. I got all sorts of bags and stuff on my counter, and I gotta clean this cutting board, and this knife is probably filthy, and the stove is definitely filthy. Yeah. How are all of you doing? Chicken quesadillas? I bought a chicken today. For Monday. Let's get some coffee going. This kitchen's still a mess. No, let's clean this cutting board first. Oh. So I spent most of yesterday struggling with the setup for cutting glass. Got that mostly working late last night, but at the same time, I had lost all of my settings for OBS. And so I have to redo everything in OBS. But at least OBS is working the way that I want it to be now. So that's a good step. What am I making with the glass? I'm doing stained glass projects. I've set up a table where I can sit there and stream and make... It's sort of a multi-purpose work table, but I've got some tools to do stained glass, and I've been into stained glass, and so we'll see if we can't make that a thing. So I just got done with my first project on stream, which was a Superman logo. And the next project I'm planning on doing will be replacing this back here. I'm going to keep the frame, but I'm going to drop out the chalkboard part to it. And that'll give me a little bit more room in the back. I'll put a back on it that's a little bit further back. I'll light it up, and then the front's going to be essentially my logo here with a bunch of blue glass, and then I'm going to put hooks into it so I can have the other logos, the other stuff. But that's next project. And beyond that, it's fun, cutesy stuff that people might be interested in. Hey, they. I do have one other project in mind in that sense, but that project I would be open in letting go of if someone liked it. Most of it's done as like scrap glass from glass blowers and companies working with colored glass. And then they can take that and put that into a kiln and create just simple flat glass. It is most of the colored glass for doing stained glass has been just sort of melted down in a kiln, and oftentimes it's multiple layers, it's multiple colors, it's streaky, and so it doesn't cut clean, it doesn't. And the solder costs probably about as much as the glass does. Most people don't really think about that. I should also point out the stream is more than just cutting glass. Like, the cutting glass is like one stream. The way it worked out for the last project was there was a stream for cutting the glass. There was a stream for grinding the glass. There was a stream for foiling and soldering the glass. And then finally there was a stream for color treating and buffing it. I'm also not doing cane work. I don't have a cane stretcher. I don't really have a huge desire to get into it. Maybe if I get bored with doing the smaller stuff, I'll get into it. But mostly what I'm doing is called Tiffany style stained glass, which is copying Tiffany's style, which was foil wrapped and then soldered, versus, as you're saying, cane, a lot of larger pieces where you have weight of the glass to consider. You have cane in there to help support it. But I'd love to actually do some lamps. I'd love to do other things. I have ideas, but I'm sort of what strikes me at the moment, I guess. I do want to do like a lamp based off of one of these bowls over here. I was supposed to get the half and half out with that. What do I have gritty that's on my finger? Get off of my finger, please. Whatever's gritty. Welcome, Nan Reader. Thank you for joining me tonight. Cheers. So I've got the steaks defrosting in water over here. They're still sort of stuck together. They're slowly detaching from each other. Basically got a solid core of ice still, with the outer edges feeling like they're pretty well defrosted. So, trying to separate the steaks while not mangling the meat, while keeping it in the bag so that it doesn't get wet. I would love to be. I have grand plans for my map that I had started, and I just can never. I have so much stuff that I need to do. Like I was just saying earlier with Cutting Glass Stream, I now have to redo my scenes and that, which is much easier than over here. Over there, it's only like 4 or 5, 6 scenes. 7 with the AFK. The setup over here, I need to redo this setup now again, because I need to do, or I want to do vertical video feeds for both YouTube and Twitch, which someday I'll hopefully get to that. And then beyond that, maybe with Minecraft. I also mentioned in Discord earlier today with apparently they're doing another EverQuest, and I was mildly tempted when I first heard of it earlier today. Like, I'm sort of late to this discovery that this is happening, or I read it before and forgot. I don't know. Anyways, they just started their paid beta like the first of the month, yesterday. Day before yesterday. Anyways. I was tempted by that, but apparently after I left EverQuest, they added in some option where players could change their class or have multiple classes. And it sounds like they're starting off with that in this. And you can only have one character per server, and which means you're locked into one race per one server. It's a lot of that turned me off the idea. And I just don't have time for it. Like, I'm not going to have the time to be there for opening game rush. But yeah, I would most certainly, especially if Minecraft sticks around, which I don't think it's disappearing immediately, would love to do more with my Minecraft world. I just have not, like, I haven't updated it to the point where there's even, I don't know, I definitely don't have I don't have copper golems in there. I don't know how many updates back I am. I most certainly don't have sulfur cubes in my personal world yet. Like, I would love to do, like, if anyone remembers what I had in my world in the past, which I sort of doubt many of you would, but I had a very spruce, like, future modern, like, setup, and I'd like to sort of, like, combine that with the Apple headquarters. And my world has both, well, it has, centering that on, the hold. Stronghold, forgetting the proper term for this, where the end portal is. Anyways, let's do some dinner stuff. I'm not ready for this tomato. Let's start with onion. Actually, let's not start with onion. Let's start with bread. Oh, hey. Maybe you want to see the cutting board where I've got the yeast going here. And speaking of Minecraft, some voxel style art is definitely something I would like to get into with the stained glass. Like, one of the projects that I've been thinking of doing is sort of like a four-sided lamp, but matching blocks from corners. Well, not specifically being art from Minecraft or from, say, Hightail or what's the harder one? that everyone says is impossible. I've seen some people play it, but I haven't watched it, or I haven't played it myself. I have played a little bit of City Skylines lately, but that's been like maybe 3 or 4 hours. I really haven't been. That was partially to do with the fact that it was the end of the month and I didn't want to pay for LLMs because it was, I had used up all my free stuff. I've not played it. I've seen a fair amount of it, and I think it looks great, but I don't have enough time for even Minecraft, which I already own. Okay, so we did that while we're waiting on our yeasties to wake up. I picked up some whole wheat. So I'm gonna do whole wheat buns. But I enjoyed a fair amount of that. I watched, who was it that I watched? I watched an initial playthrough by one of them. Captain Sparkles. I don't know if he's returned to it. I haven't searched to see that, but... But like I said, I played City Skylines too. Also, there's been updates to City Skylines that I think you can buy. I think there's been a new DLC or a major update. I haven't. Hi, Dragon. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday to all of you out there. I'm going to throw some honey in this just because I like honey with my rolls. It's an excuse to use honey. Which I'm not the greatest honey fan. Like, I don't Like, raw honey by itself, it's just got that bitter to it to me. Just never really loved it. We're going to ads already? Wow. I'll see all you lovely people when we get back. I'm just going to be making bread. It's Friday, so it's steak night. And apparently quesadilla night, too. And I didn't hear what the other person was eating for their dinner, but I'm sure that's delicious as well. Salt. Well, I am doing steak with purple sweet potato, and I almost thought you were eating tortellini, Wolf. And a summer shallot, which is going to be a combination of red onion, Roma tomato, squash, or zucchini, and corn. Did I say feta cheese? There's feta cheese in there too. Olive oil, salt, pepper. Thinking cumin now too, but I don't know. And I'm debating between, I'm strongly leaning towards boiling the sweet potato, but serving it whole, versus roasting it tonight, because I don't feel like heating the oven up and the house up just to cook a tater. Oh, I guess I have to for the bread anyways. Bread originally wasn't part of the plan. I guess we got to heat up the oven anyway, so we might as well cook the tater in the oven. I'm getting disconnected from chat. I'm not dropping frames. Twitch, you're IRC flaking out. Alright, adding our liquid and yeasties into our whole wheat flour. Welcome, Alex. Oh, I also saw we had some streakers. Chat's streaking again. I need the bot to make a "we're going streaking." New York Times just put out a video calling potato salad the most American dish ever. And I'm sort of like, really? I didn't watch the video, but it's out there, it exists. Who here... We should do a poll, actually, in the Discord. Whether people prefer a mustard-based or a mayo-based style potato salad. I'm fine with that, Wolf. I'm just sort of curious which one is the dominant one in people's minds. Do you primarily mustard? Primarily mayo? Do you, if you go mayo, do you go mustard powder? Or mustard seed? What is your mustard of choice, chat? Yeah, so is mustard. Mustard's really like... I feel like adding powdered mustard and vinegar to this dish. It's the less angry vinegar. Because I call hot sauce angry vinegar. But ketchup's just a tomato vinaigrette. I like my vinegar pickled, and I'm even keeping it right now. Empty jar, just with the pickling liquid. Why? Because for my streamiversary, which is coming up here, is it Monday? Yes, Monday. Monday is both my streamiversary and National Fried Chicken Day. So I'm going to be... The chicken I bought I'm not doing the whole chicken. I'm gonna be actually I'm debating if I want to do the white or the dark parts. I'm unsure. But I do plan on putting it into pickling liquid. I also have that one, and I also have the pepperoncinis, which I might pour some of the liquid off into that, since we've broken into those and gotten a couple of those out. There's maybe jalapeno pickling liquid in there. There's several types of olive cure in there. Okay, so we're gonna let this, after a couple of nice folds, go ahead and proof. Let's see if I can pull these steaks apart. Okay, we'll let those continue to sit and warm up to room temp. Do you pickle with just normal vinegar? You don't add anything in there other than the vinegar? You don't use multiple types of vinegar? You don't use pickling spices? Yes, those would be from the prime grade rib roast that I broke down. I don't know, was that last month, the month before? Was that May or June that I did that? There was a date on the bag. It was the 7th of June. So those have been almost frozen a month. Let's do some onion chopping. if I see it for the price that I bought the last one at, like, I wasn't planning on buying a rib roast until I got to the warehouse store, and it was, I don't know if it was $15 or under $15. It definitely wasn't $16 a pound. But for prime grade, and current price, but somehow I don't think I'm going to see that. I should also point out that I'm not watching for that price either, which maybe I should be at this point, but I haven't gotten there. I still have more of it still in the freezer. I've got ground beef that I haven't gotten to in the freezer. I've got another hanger steak that I haven't gotten to that's in the freezer. What I really need to be on the lookout for is for sales on chicken. Like, I need to buy a couple of chickens and probably freeze those. Just to hopefully get better prices on those. Yeah, because even now, organic chicken's getting, $30 for a bird. Like, it's sort of like feel like I remember it was $10-11 a bird. Need myself a cane. Okay. Squash. Or zucchini. Which I need to do more of. I need to eat more squash. I need to eat more zucchini. That was a little thin there. Great thing about the squash is I can sort of treat it as like the water when I'm cooking down onions. So we'll get the onions going, we'll cook the onions down. We'll get down to the point where they're starting to stick. And then we'll add the squash in. And that'll release a bunch of liquid into the pan. Allow the onions to keep cooking. And then we'll do that again with the squash. And add the tomatoes in. But the tomatoes are just going to be a quick cook because actually I lied, we're going to add the corn in there at some point too. The feta's at the end. To or not to add sweet pepper to this dish? I think I'm going to add a little sweet pepper. Because I have it in the fridge. I wasn't originally planning that. Last minute call. You know, I think I've typically seen stink bugs more on tomatoes than on peppers. But I'm sitting here looking at these seeds and I'm like, those are remarkably similar to their eggs. I haven't been gardening for a while, so I don't know why I'm on this. I don't even have to worry about them, but at the same time, I'm like, darn, doesn't that look like a bunch of stink bug eggs? Well, I sort of stopped growing tomatoes when my neighbors started putting their dog poo in my raised bed. So, yeah. Frise, they're calling endive? Why aren't they calling it chicory? Are you not noticing the name similarity there? Chickorium. They're both chicory, by the way, chat. I like Frise, but Frise is not endive. The how they actually grow endive is by growing chicory, and once it has grown out the first year or the first season, I don't know their harvesting. They grow it out once, they cut it off, and then they move the roots. They transplant the roots. They take them out, sort of like you're taking out turf, and they take it indoors and then force them to regrow in dark. That's how you get those cute little, perfectly football-like pieces of bitter lettuce. Well, bitter chicory. Okay, I don't have anything to complain about with that definition, but I also don't know that much about it. We got our corn over here in a can. We got our steaks ready to go. We're waiting on our bread to do a little more poof. The bread has poofed a little. I would complain about shrinkflation in the corn can, but I bought this corn can like over a year ago. I guess we should get started with our oven. Turn that on. We'll turn our fan on. We'll get a tray here ready for tater. Cold water rinse. Give it a nice dry off. Skin is already punctured in several places, so I'm not going to worry about that so much. Let me get some breaks in. Oil. Salt. We'll set that off to the side. Well, might as well just throw that straight in. Oven's not up to temp yet, but that doesn't really matter. Not so much. I have seen that apparently they've Hidden Valley created a TSA safe ranch set up so you could take it home, like a bottle's worth in TSA sized packets. You are all about the World Cup, aren't you? You mention it every single stream. You're in here, announcing Argentina's scoring in chat. It's your thing, huh? Why are you making noise, fan? Please stop. Debating going with the bread, but yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and shape our bread. How are you stuck? That was coated in oil. Silly dough. Let's get another pan and parchment ready for our dough balls. I haven't worked with this whole wheat flour before, and so this is all a little bit experimentation time. I'm using my sort of tried and true dinner roll recipe. And it is a bit wet. But that is not the end of the world. No enrichment or anything. This is just a straight dough. There's yeast, water, flour, a little bit of honey, a little bit of salt, but no milk. I often use milk for making these rolls. We're doing them without milk tonight. And no egg, no butter. Actually, I'm probably lying if I say this is the first time I'm using this flour. It's my first time using this flour in recent memory. It's been several years since I've bought whole wheat flour. And so I've probably worked with this flour before, but it's been a minute. And not with my recipes that I've done since I've been streaming. Like, I maybe had some whole wheat when I first started, but it's been years. So most of my streaming time has been without whole wheat. Alright, so we got those hanging out. We'll let them poof again. Man, dinner's just flying tonight. Like, we're set, and I feel like we're just getting started here. I got everything chopped. I got the bread half done. The potatoes in the oven. We're flying. Butter. I know I said butter and grabbed a green onion, but that's because I'm doing herbed butter. And we need some green onion to put in there with the herbs. Actually, let's do. Green onions? All over the place. Onion grows pretty well. I don't think it does well against competition, but I think it does pretty well as far as growing just about anywhere. Wow, that's one heck of a... mess up there. Okay, so we got that set. Those are going with this. These are going with butter. These are for garnish. Ones for butter are going to get a second chop through. That beep was the oven coming to 400 degrees for roasting and baking. That's the bowl that I use to start the bread in, so it's got a little bread remnant in it. Butter's still partially frozen too. Took a late shower today, and I just got all sorts of hair in my face tonight. My hair is always unruly right after a shower. Trying to get it to cool down the melted parts to help it stay emulsified. Yeah, that's probably a bit much. Let's grab on the smaller ones here. Grab the rest of those green onions along with the rosemary. Throw that in there. freeze-dried parsley, freeze-dried thyme, garlic, onion, pepper, MSG. That's Kerrygold, so it already has salt in it. I typically buy the salted Kerrygold. Which I've been buying and using a lot more Kerrygold now, because even without buying it at the warehouse store, the difference between local organic butter and Kerrygold it's like twice the price. I'd love and prefer to eat organic dairy, but difference between $7 just at the store I was at today. Organic local clover, $12 a pound, and Kerrygold was $7. So I'm stretching by saying double, but it's close enough. That is plain retail family shop supermarket price. Like flour off of the spatula from doing bread earlier. Which, by the way, if I was not just cooking for myself, would be a contamination worry. Raw, uncooked flour often has nasties in it. That was our 20-minute timer already? Let's take the tater out for a minute, because I'm falling behind on tater. Pausing the tater. in the freezer to quickly set. I think I still want to give the rolls another 5-10 to hang out like that. I guess we can get started with veg. Starting with our onion. Do a bit of cooking oil in here. Gotta remember to buy cooking oil. Which I'm annoyed that the Warehouse Club doesn't have organic sunflower oil as one of their options, despite having, like, you know, typically the Warehouse Club you have like one or two of something. They've got like a row of oil. I'm sort of like, what? No sunflower? They have like 5 different types of olive oil. If you're still lurking about, the thing that sort of keeps me from playing games or Minecraft or any of that is largely, you know, I ain't rich. I don't know if you know, I spend a lot of money on food and on streaming, but those are really my splurges in life. I don't take vacations all over the place. I drive an old car. I've been renting this place for ages. And so, like, I like the idea of doing stained glass, and if I can make a couple of bucks off of that, the restaurant world has not been kind to me. That would be lovely. Minecraft, it'd be great if I could get money doing that, but I that's very high risk, and yeah. That said, there is going to be a ton of Minecraft content coming up soon from all sorts of creators. You can expect that. I know that they're they're ramping up things here for something. Waiting on the ads to wrap up to start the sizzle. What's the current word? What we got, Sprinklebot? Ooh, that's a toughie. That's a toughie of a scramble. That's almost unfair. Like, it doesn't even, like... It doesn't even look like a word. Hi, Mimic. Alright, we're back from ads. Let's start the sizzle. Sizzle activated. Oh, why isn't that on? Why aren't you hearing that? But you don't hear that. You're not picking up any of that, Mike. What is up here? Is all that getting filtered out somehow? Interesting. I don't know why that mic isn't picking up all that lovely sizzling. Yeah, my other mic's filtering out the sizzling too. That's no fun. Now it's sort of woken back up. Okay, our first moisture addition to our onions, corn. That choice was made by a combination of size and how much moisture they're adding in there. Like I would normally think the sweet peppers, but I cut the sweet peppers pretty small. And they weren't sitting in a brine or water or whatever they claim was in with that corn. I'm going to go ahead and put the sweet potato back into the oven to roast. Our bread's getting pretty close. I'm going to hit with a touch more oil because that would be lovely if we could get a little color on that corn and the onion. And it'll be fine with the squash in there too. And I will stop playing with it now. Do you anyone see where California, which is probably going to dictate to much of the rest of the U.S., even though it's not a federal guideline, has gotten rid of expiration dates on food products? You can still, and they still recommend doing Best Buy, or I forget the exact wording, but the wording should always be, this could still be fine, but it's likely best by this date, sort of a thing. Versus, this is bad because it's 1 day old. The list of things that I have to buy from the warehouse store grows. I realize my eggs are all on their last legs. Alright, so that's looking good. Almost there with this. Just want a little color. So that means I have to stop playing with it. I keep stirring it. These are ready to go. These are actually verging on waiting too long now. I'm stirring it again. I don't know why I'm stirring this. Bad me. Stop stirring. So how we doing this evening, folks? I've had a pretty good day. I don't know what happened with me yesterday. Like, I slept through like half of yesterday. And it's not like I was just being lazy. Like, my brain was just out of it yesterday. I was just out. Ooh, I like this scramble. That stuff's tasty. It's starting to pop. I want a couple more pops. Come on, corn, pop. Pop for me. There we go. Yeah. Alright, we'll add some peppers in there now. Alright, we're going to go in with our squash. Our cooked green onion, or green onion for cooking. The whites of the green onion. And our tomatoes. Salt. Pepper. Garlic powder. Heat off on that. Let the residual pan heat and the corn and the onion cook through that squash and tomato a little bit. Just making it guilty by association or cooked by association. Buns going in the oven. That's going on the back burner to sit for a moment. I'm going to start heating this front pan up. Salt. Beef fat rendered from this same piece. Wolf? Uh-oh. Hummingbirds dive bombing another bird. And so steak's going on. Mushrooms would be delicious with tonight's dinner. Some things are crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure I just saw that bird. Like, they're able to fly backwards, and I'm pretty sure I just saw that hummingbird get annoyed that one was coming up to my feeder here, rush up to it forwards, and then fly backwards like 10, 15 feet. Like, straight forward and then straight back. Because I keep watching, there's a spot that it likes to keep hanging out, and I've figured out where the branch is that it likes to... I don't know why, it loves hanging out in this one particular branch. There's like a gazillion dead branches that it has a choice from. It just keeps going back to the same one. Sits there and stares at my feeder in between feedings. Alright, let's salt the other sides of these steaks. That's our first flip. I need more water. I'm worried. I need to break this habit I have with this door already. I'll explain myself what I'm saying there in a moment. With this door, the previous refrigerator had a deeper lip to this edge. And so I would often just hit that I would often just grab that edge and pull that forward. This one, the seal is so tight and so close to the edge of the door. I gotta break that habit. I gotta train myself to start opening it from like this, because it's gonna ruin the seal. Oops. At least I didn't throw the nice one in there. Those are 2 steaks off of a large rib roast. They would normally be sold as a ribeye. However, we haven't gotten to the point of the roast where there is that solid fat eye to these yet. But we can now hit this side with our other seasonings. We've done salt on these already. They've already seen one cooking on one side. We'll do pepper. We'll do garlic. Thanks, Naomi. Welcome, welcome. How you been? Lactose? Oh, yes. Yes, lactose and milk are, those are cuts off of a prime grade rib roast. So they would be ribeyes, but they're not part with the giant piece of fat in it yet. These are on the other side of that roast. Cut the heat on that. And we're going to throw that whole thing into the oven. We'll go back to doing salad here next. We've got this that I need to field work for this. We have our onion, corn, squash, tomato, and sweet pepper mixture. You can refrigerate this and serve this cold or serve it hot like I have it right here. I am hoping it's going to cool down a touch here though before I add the feta in there. So maximize my airspace and metal bowl contact with that. What we got for our scramble? Oh, that was over quick. Or almost over quick. Who's gonna get the spelling right? Now that I've given it away. We got 5 minutes left on our bread. Our tater can probably come out here. Let's grab our tater out of the oven. Our tater is cooked. Nice purple sweet tater. I'm just going to cut that open, squish it open a little bit, throw in some butter and sour cream. Salt, pepper over the top. A little dried oregano. Me. But I often cook I'm cooking for today and for tomorrow. For myself. Then I'm back on Sunday. It's just my cast iron. Cast iron and a solid gas flame give you some of the best cooking you can find. Not necessarily the best. I might give that to someone that can do a proper wood grill. But cast iron, close second. That sear, just delicious. So we'll add our feta in with our salad. And 2.5 minutes on our bread. I think I am going to pull the steak now. Cast iron. thought I was hearing noise back there, and I realized my speakers were off, so it couldn't be making noise back there. That's not sauce, that's just all fat. I put ribeye fat. When I cut down the roast that these two steaks are from, I took all the excess fat off of that and rendered that down to liquid and turned that into fat. And I used that to start. Seared the steak in that. It created even more of its own fat from all of this melting. And then at the end, I added butter on top of it. So there's lots of fat in this pan right now. We'll get rid of our rosemary that was just giving us some flavor. Take these out of the pan. Timer's going off. Okay. So we'll take our pan of... There's some steak juices in there too, but that's mostly oil. I'll put these back over under the... That looks darker than they are. They look like they're burnt on that screen. They're not. They're gorgeous. Rolls, on the other hand, overproof tonight, apparently. They just... No poof at all in those. I hope you got it protected, so. That's a bummer. We got steak. Okay, let's see, what else do we need to do here? Can turn the oven off. I think we're set to do dinner here. I'm procrastinating, apparently. Let's start off with trying to peel that potato off of that paper. Salt. Pepper. Butter. I'm not caring about the sweet potato I'm getting on the other butter. Sour cream. Green onion. These didn't burn on bottom, did they? They're okay. They got a little too close for comfort, but they're okay. Yeah, let's give this a slice first. Hey, Blake. Happy pre-4th of July to everyone, yes. And then our salad or our veggie mix here in the corner. It's all looking too dark on screen. And then our herb butter from earlier. Or green onion, parsley. Rosemary, butter. It's raining. Rolls fell a little flat. Otherwise, delicious looking dinner. Let's grab a photo or two of that. One last photo. Alright. So now we got that going. We've got these to soak up all of this. Like, they fell, like, they did not rise. They just spilled out. They bubbled up nicely, though. Got a decent crumb to them. But I get to do this with this cutting board over here where the steak was on. Which may be the best part of this entire meal. Throw that end of the butter on there. Throw that together. I did, Naomi. And as I was saying, it's the first time in many years that I've had a whole wheat flour in the house. And so it was very much sort of an experiment compared to, I used a recipe that I'm very used to as far as like normal baking flour or AP flour, either or. So these being a little bit flat is more me not being experienced with it. I think I needed to knead that dough a bit more than I did. I maybe should have added some other flour in there along with the whole wheat as well. Maybe doing a mix of whole wheat and whole grain. Or whole wheat and baking flour. We can do that. We can do this. That gives it a different look. You can see the herb butter. You can see all the veggies that we got in that mix. It's not just the hodgepodge as it's looking from distance away. That's feta cheese in there if you're just joining in, along with squash, tomato, carrot, corn, and onions. And then we got our purple sweet potato with green onions, sour cream, and butter. Salt and pepper. I think all of this is going to be amazing. And that is where I am going to leave things this fine evening, I believe. I shall be back Sunday, 10 in the morning, on Cutting Glass. If you're unfamiliar, I have started a second streaming channel. I do Chef Jay Tay as far as cooking food. And I now have Cutting Glass, where I'm doing stained glass and other creative work. So Sunday, 10 a.m., doing 10 to 1 is my rough starting schedule, and I'm doing it the same days that I'm doing cooking later on. And so, going to be doing some stained glass work on Sunday, and then in the evening on Sunday, I'm continuing doing the states. We're doing Iowa this week. And so for Iowa, I'm going to be doing ham balls and taco pizza. Taco pizza sort of surprises me for Iowa, but it's apparently a thing there. Let's see here, and then Monday, I have my streamiversary. I don't even remember how many years it's been now. 6, 7, 8, something like that. That's gonna be Monday. Gonna be doing fried chicken. Though maybe not. Well, maybe not traditional fried. We're doing fried chicken. It's gonna be deliciousness. So I hope you come back to join me. I don't have a vote up for next week, do I? I haven't started my ingredient challenge vote for next week. I need to do that. Sesame won last week, and I didn't even clean it up afterward. I'm falling behind. Boo. Alright, thank you so much for joining up with me tonight. Let's see who's out there in the streaming world. Let's continue the 4th of July fun and go hang out with dinner with Mom, who is doing 4th of July prep. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Go out, cause some good trouble. Be wonderful people. Do wonderful things. And, yeah. See you Sunday. Good night.